I hate when the word genius gets used too often. These days, the word genius gets thrown around way too easily. So when I titled this video track, I really meant it. Jeff Buckley, who died in 1997 at the age of 30, was a musical genius. He was able to do things that many of the rest of us can only dream of. He had an angelic voice that was able to reach registers that would make dogs cry. He could write lyrics like a poet laureate, and he created beautiful, complex and interesting guitar parts which perfectly complemented the mournful sorrow of his songs. Scott Moorhead was born in 1966 and changed his name to Jeff Buckley after spending a week with his estranged father Tim Buckley when he was young. He was always compared to but felt no strong connection with his father, Tim Buckley, who was also a famous musician. From his interviews, one can easily assume that Jeff unsurprisingly felt bitter towards his father. Jeff Buckley's music was influenced by numerous failed relationships, his abandonment by his father, and his fixation with death. Buckley only released one studio album, Grace, and was working on a second, My Sweetheart the Drunk, when he died. Tragically, in May 1997, he died by accidental drowning in the Mississippi River. But even with such a small catalogue, he has had a huge influence on the musical community. God, I hate Jeff Buckley. Like any other honest musician, I'm so jealous of his amazing voice and phenomenal talent. Just kidding, I don't really hate him. What were some of the characteristics that made him a standout though? Well, Jeff had a really fast vibrato in his voice, and he used lots of vocal scoops going up and down the register. But his voice was so smooth that he could go from tenor to falsetto seamlessly. He had a range of 4 octaves, which is pretty damn impressive. He also had a very casual, almost slothful expression in a lot of his phrases, but would then contrast that with very focused, high-intensity passages. He was amazing at expressing emotion through his voice. This is especially prominent in a lot of his live performances. For example, in the song Lover You Should Have Come Over, it sounds like he's almost crying the lyrics. You feel his pain in the performance of the song. His guitar playing ranged from rock to jazz, and his songs include fingerstyle and slide guitar sections. He also wrote songs in a variety of tunings, including standard, drop D, and open G. Not only this, but he also played other instruments on a number of his studio recordings and sessions, including mandolin, organ, harmonica, bass, tablas, dobro, dulcimer, harmonium, and esraj, if I'm even saying that correct. Esraj. But not only was he a good singer and musician, Jeff Buckley also wrote great songs. I want to look at some of the lyrics that he wrote to show how much of his heart he poured into his music. He had the soul of a blues musician, not afraid to expose himself emotionally to his audience. Let's have a look at some of his lyrics. We'll start with one of my favourite of Buckley's songs. So Real was a collaboration between Buckley and Michael Teague. Here are some of the lyrics from the track. I'm not going to sing these because it would just do them an injustice. We walked around till the moon got full like a plate. The wind blew an invocation and I fell asleep at the gate. And I never stepped on the cracks 'cause I thought I'd hurt my mother. And I couldn't awake from the nightmare that sucked me in and pulled me under. The timing changes and loose feel of this track are complemented by Jeff's delivery of these vocals, which feel lazy and slurred, almost like he's singing them half asleep. Next is a track called Eternal Life. Eternal life is now on my trail. Got my red glitter coffin, man. Just need one last nail. While all these ugly gentlemen play out their foolish games, there's a flaming red horizon that screams our names. And as your fantasies are broken in two, did you really think this bloody road would pave the way for you? You better turn around and blow your kiss hello to life eternal. This song is almost like an epitaph. It's frighteningly ironic. One could almost interpret this as a requiem to himself. The emotion that he poured out in his ballads was intense. They clearly come from a really honest place, and he delivers them with such naked passion. Here's a track called Last Goodbye. This is our last goodbye. I hate to feel the love between us die, but it's over. Just hear this and then I'll go. You gave me more to live for, more than you'll ever know. This is our last embrace. Must I dream and always see your face? Why can't we overcome this wall? Well, maybe it's just because I didn't know you at all. Kiss me, please kiss me, but kiss me out of desire, babe, and not consolation. You know, it makes me so angry, 'cause I know that in time I'll only make you cry. This is our last goodbye. Powerful words, and especially coming from someone so young, really, just in his late 20s. The next ballad is possibly my favourite of his songs. It was inspired by Buckley's breakup with Rebecca Moore. It's called Lover, You Should Have Come Over. Looking out the door, I see the rain fall upon the funeral mourners, parading in a wake of sad relations as their shoes fill up with water. Maybe I'm too young to keep good love from going wrong, but tonight you're on my mind, so you never know. It's never over. My kingdom for a kiss upon her shoulder. It's never over. All my riches for her smiles when I slept so soft against her. It's never over. All my blood for the sweetness of her laughter. It's never over. She's a tear that hangs inside my soul forever. Just fantastic, powerful lyrics. Buckley had this to say about the title track of his first album, Grace. The song itself is about its analogy to no one, but about, I always describe it as not fearing anything, anyone, any man, any woman, any war, any gun, any sling or arrow aimed at your heart by other people, because there is somebody finally who loves you for real, and that you can achieve a real state of grace through somebody else's love in you. Here's an extract from the track, Grace. There's the moon asking to stay long enough for the clouds to fly me away. Oh, it's my time coming. I'm not afraid to die. Buckley concluded an interview by saying, "Grace is what matters in anything, especially life, especially growth, tragedy, pain, love, death. About people, that's what matters." That's a quality I admire very greatly. It keeps you from reaching for the gun too quickly. It keeps you from destroying things too foolishly. It sort of keeps you alive, and it keeps you open for more understanding. The next track is another dark lamentation. Pretty common for Jeff, who liked to dwell on the darker side of things. It's from a track called "I Woke Up in a Strange Place." Ghost calls to visit with my keys in his pocket, kisses on my mouth with his eyes hanging out of his sockets. My memories crumble under still resistance. I was torn out like pages from the book of existence. And the next track is called "Forget Her." Don't fool yourself. She was heartache from the moment that you met her. Ah, my heart feels so still as I try to find the will to forget her somehow. Oh, she was heartache from the day that I first met her. My heart is frozen still as I try to find the will to forget you somehow. 'Cause I know you're somewhere out there right now. One of my favourite haunting Buckley tunes is "Nightmares by the Sea." It goes a little something like this. Beware the bottled thoughts of angry young men. Secret compartments hide all of the skeletons. Little girl wants to make her home with him. In the middle of the shore, she wonders. Don't know what you asked for. Don't know what you asked for. All young lovers know why. Nightmares blind their mind's eye. Your rube is young and handsome, so new to your bedroom floor. You know damn well where you'll go. I've loved so many times, and I've drowned them all. From their coral graves they rise up when darkness falls. With their bones they'll scratch the window. I hear them call. Don't know what you asked for. Don't know what you asked for. Okay, so the last track on Grace is Dream Brother. It was described by Buckley like this. It's a song about a friend of mine who's led a rather excessive life. He's in trouble. This song is for him. I know what self-destruction can lead to, and I've tried to warn him, but I'm one big hypocrite because when I called him up and told him about the song that I'd written, that same night I took an overdose of hash and woke up the next day feeling terrible. It's very hard not to give in to one's negative feelings. Life is total chaos. Keep in mind with the lyrics of this song about Jeff Buckley's abandonment from his father, because this song really reaches pretty deep into that. It goes like this. There is a child sleeping near his twin. The pictures go wild in a rush of wind. That dark angel he is shuffling in, watching over them with his black feather wings unfurled. The love you lost with her skin so fair is free with the wind in her butterscotch hair. Her green eyes blew goodbyes with her head in her hands and your kiss on the lips of another. Dream, brother, with your tears scattered round the world. Don't be like the one who made me so old. Don't be like the one who left behind his name. 'Cause they're waiting for you like I waited for mine, and nobody ever came. Some powerful lyrics of abandonment in here, and that was about a friend of his was considering walking away from his girlfriend, who I believe was pregnant. Okay, so we've looked at some of his lyrics. They're pretty awesome. Let's move on and have a look at a little bit about some of his music. He wasn't just a great lyricist. Buckley was also an excellent musician. Just like myself, Buckley attended the Guitar Institute. According to Michael Teague, who played in Buckley's band and co-composed some of his work, Buckley could shred and play metal. So he could do all of the guitar playing that was popular at the time. That's kind of all the stuff that I was playing at the time. But he chose to go in a little bit of a different direction from what was happening at that time. So here's a little something for the musicians out there. Buckley was always trying to augment chords in one way or another, or leave certain notes out to make the sound more hollow and unresolved. He believed in the use of repetition, even very simple repetition, to create an almost trance-like spell in the music. But of course he contrasted that with some really interesting chords and notes. He played tons of arpeggios. He played lots of really slightly odd chords that made for much more interesting melodies and that kind of thing. And some of his rhythm playing was also just quite percussive as well at times. Buckley was unconventional. He wanted to try original things. To quote Teague, he just always wanted to push the boundaries and find ways to just let his voice be free, because he sang with such abandon. So I feel a lot of the times the songs that he wrote to adjust structures to let his voice fly around it, that doesn't quite make sense, but anyway, you can follow, because his voice was really the thing that generated his music more than anything. So what lessons can we as musicians take away from Jeff Buckley? Well, one of the things that I think that every musician should take from Jeff Buckley is to find your own unique voice. Jeff had many influences in his life, from his father, who was a professional musician. His mother was a classically trained pianist, and all of the bands that influenced him throughout his youth, especially all of the classic rock bands, like he was really big into Led Zeppelin. But nonetheless, he still found his own voice and his own unique style, which is so important, to not just copy what you know, but to try and do something different, to try and really find the voice that's in yourself and bring that out. Jeff Buckley was an actual musical genius. Sadly, like so many talented young people, his light was extinguished far too early. Who knows what he may have made if he had lived on. One thing is for certain, he will be long remembered for what he created, even in such a short window. Thanks for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and come back for the next ones.